Well, hello, hello, hello. It has been a long time since I made a video, and I'm super sorry about that. But the reason for that is that I have been completely devoted to finishing and publishing my first book, and I'm super excited. So I want to talk about that. And then I want to talk about what topics and episodes you guys can expect next. So we're going to pull away from the vampires and go into new territory, but I suspect related territory. So I think that's important to note. So the book I wrote is called Vampires, the Devil's Greatest Trick. The subtitle is Separating Fact from Fiction, and it's under my maiden name, Cody R. Griffin. I'm going to leave a link in the description of the video so you can find it on Amazon. It's available on Kindle. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, it'll be free for you. And it's also available in paperback. So if you're interested, please pick up a copy. What I talk about in this book is whether or not vampires are a real paranormal phenomenon. And, the funny thing is, if you had told me 3 years ago, 2 years ago, oh, you'll be writing a book one day on vampires, I would have laughed in your face and I would have checked myself into a psych ward because I absolutely have always thought vampires are the most cringe, goofy topic ever. Boring. I'm not here for it. But basically, a couple of podcast episodes on real vampires really caught my attention and sent me down a rabbit hole of exploration. And that's what this book is. And spoiler alert, I think they're real. I think they're just not what we believe they are. I think it's not what the movies and the books tell us. I think that bloodthirsty entities taking human form are real, but I don't think it's because of some weird virus that you get when you get bitten by another human afflicted with this sort of virus or condition. My journey took me down a very fun, quirky, dark path of exploring morbid history, curses, demon possession, holy texts, witchcraft in Hollywood, and even really weird things like the never discussed phenomenon of human mutilation. It's like cattle mutilation, but it's with humans and it's real. And the questions I ask are, how are we defining vampire or vampirism? Are we defining it correctly? I don't think so. Other questions are we a food source for something unseen, but just as real as flesh and blood beings? Are vampires really a parasitic entity who are hitching a ride on our human flesh suits? I ask those questions and many, many more. I take a look at real vampires, both throughout history and in our modern day lives, mostly in America. I explore why some places seem to have a heavy vampire presence or lore and legend around them, and how magic and the supernatural is all intertwined with all of this. I want to separate the myth, the legend, the lore, the stupid, like Twilight versions of vampires. I don't think vampires are gay, sparkly, pretty people. I think there's something altogether different and much darker. And I think that they're probably all around us. And I think that some of us have encountered these things. So if you're interested in that book, please pick up a copy. And I really hope that if you do, you really enjoy it as much as I did. So now moving on to what can we expect to be explored next on this channel. I'm going to do an episode now on staircases in the woods. That's something that most people, especially if you're into missing 411 or those kinds of lost in the woods stories, if you're into that, you've heard of these staircases in the woods. I'm going to break that down and what I think that's all about. And then we're going to look at human mutilation. So that was a deep dive that I took while writing the book, but it deserves its own deep dive, its own episode. So I'm going to explore human mutilation with you guys. And that's essentially aliens or something else are yanking humans up off the ground and mutilating them and putting them back down all dead and drained of blood. So we'll take a look at what that's all about. And then much the way that I did a mini series on the book Vampires Are, and really deep diving into that, I'm going to do the same thing with the books of Enoch and other peripheral apocryphal texts, the Book of Giants. And I'm going to read those along with the Bible and let you know what my findings are. I've already done that only for like 20 pages of one and 6 pages of the other, and I can tell you it's already mind blowing. I'm not a Christian. I am not familiar in a deep sense with what is written in the Bible. So, you guys are exploring that with me. If you are not a Christian, but you're very curious about these ancient texts, which include the Bible, but also just texts that were written around the same time as parts of the Bible, but some people just decided they're not going to be in the Bible. Those are called apocryphal texts. Those are the books of Enoch. That's the Book of Giants. There are many, many others. I'm going to take a look at those and we're going to see what supernatural elements are spoken of in these texts. I think it reveals a lot of fascinating details around mankind's origins, our relationship with God, and our relationship with the other forces that influence us. So I am super looking forward to that. I think it's going to be very exciting. I had a lot of fun just exploring Lilith, which also she's a big part of the vampire book. I did a podcast episode on her. I wrote a big article on her. I had to dive into some of these apocryphal texts to find out who Lilith was. Even that, as just a singular topic within these texts, was fascinating and incredibly fun to learn about. So I'm really looking forward to all of that. I hope you guys are too. Oh, I'm also going to try to get actual video going. I need to set up my office space to be a little bit more conducive to podcasting, so bear with me there. But these are all the plans for the near future. First, look out for staircases in the woods, human mutilation, and then more long term, we're going to be breaking down those apocryphal texts with the Bible. And I will be getting video going at some point in all of that. So if you are joining me after my hiatus, thank you so much. And I look forward to putting out more content for you. Thank you.